I guess now that you've kind of had the time to review the film, what do you think of your unit's performance in last Saturday's scrimmage?
Oh, probably like most scrimmages, right? When there's some good, there's some bad. You're never quite satisfied with how it looked, and so you're glad you got at that time 2 weeks left before you play your first game. But those days are quickly dwindling, so we got a lot of stuff cleaned up.
What are the biggest things you're looking to clean up in the next 10 days or so?
Oh, it's just no hesitation, playing fast, confident in your assignment. Usually you can tell on film when a guy's not playing up to his full potential because he's out there hesitant, thinking too much. And obviously, it's our job as coaches to remedy that and get it get eliminated from their play.
What does Jackie Matthews kind of bring to the table? I mean, it seems like he's run with the ones all camp.
Yeah, he came out of spring with the ones, and so he's earned that right to get those reps. Obviously, he brings some coverage ability. Played corner, played nickel, places he's been. So we really like what he brings in some man coverage ability. Obviously, we got to get him. We got to get him. He's one of those guys I was talking about earlier. You see some hesitation in some of his play at times because he's probably a little unsure of his assignment, what we're playing for certain formations, and obviously hesitation will lead to big plays and get you beat on Saturday. So we got to get that eliminated if he's going to stay with the ones.
We've seen Jalen Green and Corey Ellington kind of split some first-team reps. What do you kind of make of that competition?
That's what you're trying to get during camp, right? You're trying to create as much competition as possible. I mean, he just asked a question about Jackie. Obviously, you just did. I imagine we'll see quite a few different lineups in there this weekend in the last scrimmage, just because I'm not convinced we found the three best safeties to have out there and the most reliable ones. Some guys have strengths and then their weaknesses. Other guys, that's their strength, and that's kind of our job as coaches to get it evaluated and figure out who the best ones are to have out there, because you never want to lose a game because you got assignment errors or you don't got the best players out on the field.
We're such a veteran group back on defense, and obviously you're the boss and you're their coach and you're the one they look to, but how much you see some of those guys coaching each other and giving advice and trying to bring others along?
Yeah, I mean, some position groups more than others. Obviously, the guys who have the majority reps, Cam Young, Crumity, obviously they jump out in the D-line. Buki, Tyrus, they kind of jump out in the linebacker room. Jet knows, but he's so locked in on what he's doing. Forbes particularly, right, in the secondary. And so it's good to have those guys, but, I mean, all those guys I just mentioned, they have their fair share of days where they don't quite look like the vets that are, have everything figured out. And so we got to make sure we got all lever and operating at a high level.
At that cornerback position with opposite of Forbes with DCAM and Banks, obviously we didn't get to see Banks much in the spring. He was kind of dinged up and in and out of. You talked so well about DCAM and the spring he had. What kind of changes did you see him in camp and preseason practice now that Banks was back and pushing him in that position?
It's good competition's always good, right? It makes the cream rise to the top. And that competition's ongoing too, right? Just the thing you love about DCAM is his approach every day. I mean, every day is the same guy comes out to work. Doesn't mean it's the cleanest day by any means. There's going to be mistakes in there or technique errors, but it's not for a lack of effort, and you like coaching those guys.
What do you see from Jet in this camp compared to last year, now that he's got a lot more experience under his belt?
I probably just see more plays being made because I finally have him out there like he should have been probably. So he's doing a great job. And that's Jet, right? He's one of those guys who shows up every day with the right mindset.
Have you seen Jordan Davis start to kind of shake the rust off now that he's got a couple weeks under his belt?
Yeah, I mean, coming off of the injury he did, obviously it takes time to get feeling 100% and confident with when you put all the force in the ground and plant off that leg. And so, his development's coming along right like we anticipated.
How good can he be at 100%?
I think that's probably unfair for people to make predictions. I mean, heck, unless I'm mistaken, have you guys seen him? How many games has he played in here?
7 or 8.
7 or 8.
In what year?
2020.
Yeah, about 10 games.
Didn't he play? He didn't play all
20.
Games,
That first year of COVID, he wasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot, man, I'm forgetting that. For some reason, I thought I've been here 2 years. Shit. All right. Yeah. So, but to miss a whole season like he did, I mean, that's a lot of football you missed out on. So I talk about Cam, Crumity, the number of snaps those guys have accumulated. JD missed out on all that last year. It takes time to get back in the swing of things. So
J.P. Purvis, we saw him work some in Mike linebacker last week and then the week before. What have you seen from him at that position?
Yeah, JP's. He's a big physical athlete, So, and you see it back on old film. You see the way he used to cover kickoffs on special teams. The year before we all got here. I think he's found a home at linebacker. And he's embracing what it takes, the mentality to be a good linebacker.
How do you feel like the team's tackling so far in camp? I know you don't do a lot of full tackling.
Yeah, going against this offense, you feel you're always frustrated because every play's out in space, and you got a lot of good skill guys. Forces a lot of good, they call it vice tackling, right? 2-on-1. So we got plenty of clips where we get executed how you want. And there's quite a few clips where it's not quite as good as you want. I'm probably concerned now on the we got some good physical backs, obviously, who will make you bring your hard hat and lunch pail. But when we face some teams here, start bringing in multiple tight ends and that downhill run game, power plays, pulling guards, all that. We'll find out how well we've simulated it.
You saw this Memphis offense last year. What do you think about what they bring to the table?
Yeah, they're all. Obviously got plenty of skill. New coordinator from Marshall. If you look at Marshall's stats last year, top 20 in everything. And you got a returning starting quarterback who has a whole year of experience under his belt. He threw for dang good stats last year, and so our guys know exactly what's in front of them. There's a very talented football team coming in here.
How close are you to maybe settling the competition for your specialists?
I think we're pretty dialed in at this point. Massimo looks like he's kind of seized the reins there on field goal, and Ben has kind of been the kickoff specialist at this point. So they'll keep competing over the next week or so, but they're kind of settling into kind of earning those first team reps at both those two units. Punter wise, it's still pretty competitive. Both those guys are really hitting the ball well right now. So it could be a scenario where there's a home for both of them.
When we talked to the kickers a few weeks ago, they didn't seem bothered by any of the stuff that happened at kicker last season, or didn't feel like it added any pressure on them, I guess. Well, what did you see from them to come in and not be worried about that at all and just kind of doing their job?
Yeah, just two veteran guys, so they understand that it's always the next kick's the most important kick. So they go out there and just keep working on making sure that that one play is 1-0. They win that one play. If they don't, they're going to try and win the next one, not let it phase them. So you can't let the mistake kind of compound, right? Don't let the same kick beat you twice, that type of thing. So just a mature, older mindset and a lot of experience from the both of them. So they're excited to kind of put that on display.
From the first scrimmage to the second, Leach said the improvement was, they hit him. Have you noticed any other differences with your kickers as far as what they've improved on?
Yeah, they hit him. I guess that's right. Yeah. No, I think it was just, every day is not going to be perfect. We talk about it too, just for across the board. We just need 100% that day. If they're 85% that day, we need all 85% of you. So I think it's kind of had an off day in that for that second scrimmage or first scrimmage there, and then they bounced back pretty well. And Massimo, I think, hasn't missed a kick in about 3 days now. So knock on wood, yeah. So yeah.
Is that the benefit of having some older guys? They know how to handle off days and scrimmages and practice and come back and be better the next day. Yeah,
I think so. And then their workload. That's another piece too, where they know that kicking more balls doesn't mean better results. They got to really some technique work, some drill work, just refining their craft, understanding immediately what the mistake was made, not overcorrecting that mistake, but with a plant foot or whatever it may be, and just going out there and just trying to kick their best ball in the next one.
How do you put your coverage units together? I know some schools, have younger guys out there, and other guys have starters. How do you want to construct that?
Yeah, I think those starting ones, on both sides of the ball. If we can get them to play a unit or two, that'd be fantastic. And they're all willing participants at this point, and some really good players out there. Coaches always had a rule, Coach Leach, about you can play guys on 2 units, so they're going to practice on 2. They're going to play on 1 at least, maybe 2 for some of them, and then you get those young guys, the up and comers, are the ones I think are really the core. That's kind of the heartbeat of those big 4 units. Guys like I heard you mention before, Coach Arnett, just J.P. Purvis. He's trying to dig in a linebacker role, but shoot, he's gonna be on every special team in the meantime. And if he plays a little more on defense, then we'll kind of find a way for somebody else to elevate and maybe take one of his spots. But I think my job is to help develop those players so they're ready when their name's called on the other side of the ball as well. So just a blend of starters, veterans, young up and comers that are going to play for us right away, and then all those 2.5 guys.
What do you think the guys you have back there about returning?
Yeah, no, one explosive and one really consistent, reliable, and then we got an explosive young guy behind them and another reliable guy behind that. So we just got to keep catching balls in the meantime and get real comfortable with our scheme and keep working on it.
That's what I was going to kind of ask you. With so much done in college team to take the return game away with sophisticated coverages or limited contacts or whatever, how do you prepare guys for a job that say you may get one chance all season to make something big happen, but be ready for your chance?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the nature of special teams, though, too. You know, it's just that it's always one play. You get a one-play series. You don't get 15 plays and get to make a mistake. You don't get to do that. So, our one play, we're always expecting, you know, our block's going to be the key block, or you know, whatever your assignment is. It's critical. You know, 11 guys, it takes 11 guys on a kick return, it takes 11 guys on kickoff. It's not just one guy. So they got to understand the importance of that, and I think they're so far doing a good job of that.
Describe your punters' respective strengths, the two guys that you're battling it out.
Yeah, I mean, one's a lefty and one's a righty. So for all the guys out there listening, I mean, good luck trying to game plan for both of these guys. But you know, Archer can kick a monster ball with good hang when he does that, and the distance matches that. It's a squirrely, tails to away with the lefty punter. George is really athletic, big guy, can move the pocket, and kick balls like all across the field. So I think between the two of them, there's a myriad of punts we can kick, and they're both very veteran guys at this point as well. So it'll be fun to see them keep progressing.
There was one day in practice this year where Jed Johnson was trying to catch like multiple punts at once. Are we going to see him in the punt return game?
Hey, we're just having a fun fall camp, man. That's all that is, man. Jed will be out there on some other stuff, but it'll be hard hat, lunch pail stuff, not so much catching balls. Yeah.
But the reality is, too, guys like him are playing that kind of up-back blocking, and with so many sky kicks, short kicks, they may have to get the ball.
That's true. They were catching some today, man. So, yeah, but if they're doing that, we're receiving the ball at the 35-yard line and fair catching it there. We'll take that kind of starting field position. We'll do that going into a game week. We'll accept that from the opponent.
We saw Tulu kind of make some momentum-shifting plays last season. What dynamic does he kind of bring to your kick return team?
Yeah, just special talent back there, but runs through the smoke, runs through a pile of people, doesn't break stride. It's really just something that it's hard to coach that. So some guys have, some guys don't. So he's fearless back there. That's the thing. So everybody else has got to make sure they're doing their job and don't want to be the guy that we single out on film saying, hey, this is the one guy that took a play off or missed his block, because anytime he catches, he's got a chance.
And a guy like him too, I mean, obviously you want him to turn the football, but is it also, do you always feel like it's a win almost when they won't kick it to him, like they'll kick it out of the back of the end zone because they're fearful of him? Do you see it as a win when that happens?
Yeah, you get to puff your chest a little bit, I think, and we start getting a little edge maybe in the mental game, but and also, we're going to practice against alternate kicks to other people on the field, because again, if they're not going to challenge it or they can't kick a touchback, then we're going to try and expose them for kind of taking the easy way out.
Not just kick return, but how did Dylan and Simeon, the two guys basically kind of blocking but also be return guys, how did you choose those two? What makes them fit that position?
Yeah, I mean, both running backs that can block, and they do that for a living. And then and obviously, I coached those guys last year, so I trust them back there. But on top of it, ball in their hands. They do it all the time. So ball in their hands, break a tackles. They're not going to have quite the same blocking that the deep guy would have, but they're physical enough to kind of break a tackle or make somebody miss and make a play with it.
You've seen, at some levels, kickoffs being phased out for safety reasons. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, man, it's a PC question, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'd like it to stay the way it is or go back to the old way, but yeah, I mean, we'll adapt the rules and try and maximize the best we can. But it's a physical game. And it's a violent game, and it is what it is, I guess. Yeah.
Kind of get down toward the end of camp. I mean, where do you see the battles within your position group as far as your depth chart goes?
Obviously, first to start off, it's been a competition the entire camp, and just trying to keep guys healthy and some of that other things was the big thing. But obviously, Woody Marks and Dylan Johnson have continued to make strides and continue to do a good job there. Simeon Price also has come along, get JJ back from injury, and also Bulls. So right now it's a continual battle all the way till next week, but hopefully I'll have a plan and idea coming into next week.
You mentioned Simeon. How impressed have you been with him so far?
He's done an unbelievable job. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Simeon's obviously bought in. Unfortunately, he had to go through an injury last season, but I've been proud of him. He's mature, has a great routine, comes out and works each and every day. His work ethic's been great, and obviously it's shown on the field.
When you think about a guy like Simeon, when he has an injury, you hate to see the kid get hurt. But have you seen maybe a new hunger, maybe a new love for the game for him since he's been healthy again?
Most definitely. When he got injured, and we had a chance to chit chat a little bit, and we talked about it, and then he goes, I became more of a student of the game, and I didn't take anything for granted now. And he's come out, and each day he's hungry to go out there and perform and do the best he possibly can. And so I've been proud, really, really proud of him.
Talk about Woody and Dylan, just how they feed off of each other and the leadership they bring. And it seems like they have not so much competing for who starts, because both are going to play a ton, but it seems like they push each other.
Absolutely. And so that was a big point of emphasis when I came and took over. Wanted to sit down with both those guys and talk with them and say, throughout a football season, you're going to need each other and support each other. And you never know how the season's going to work out. And I've been proud of them because they both kind of took the bull by the horns and said, hey, this is what we're going to do, and take care of each other and be leaders for not just us, but for the young guys as well. And so they're supportive. They got each other's back, and just like the rest of that unit and the rest of that room. So it's been good. It's been good with both of them.
Some unnamed sources on defense say that the biggest trash talker on the offensive side of football is Coach Washington. What is your response to that, and why is that a part of your game?
It's absolutely true, and I love to get in their heads because I've been back there and I know how difficult and tough it is. And so as much as I can to give them a hard time and that type of stuff, I'm going to do it. But just as long as they're smiling and having fun, that's what I want to do, is have fun out there. And of course they trash talk back, so it's a battle each and every day.
How do you feel like your guys maybe respond to that when they see you out there being so animated and emotional?
Hopefully pretty good. It's about energy. It's about coming out and doing the best they possibly can and having fun. I mean, we talked about the other day, sometimes this gets monotonous and the same thing over and over and over again. And we always go back, what's your why? Why are you doing this? What's going to motivate you and that type of stuff? And so obviously I got to be a leader on the team, and they feed off my energy. So I got to make sure that I come out and bring it each and every day, not just for myself, but for that unit and for this team.
Pass protection is such a big thing in this offense. How do you see them coming along in that aspect?
Yeah, they're coming along, doing each and every day. It's been a point of emphasis for us, and especially with Woody Marks and Dylan and breaking each other down. And I'll tell you this, that I've been proud of the way whenever we're watching film and that type of stuff, where they're able to critique each other. And I said, I just want you to coach each other. Tell me what you did that was good. Tell me what you did that was bad. They're able to do that and make the corrections on the field. So it's been good. And I'll tell you this, it's blocking some of the linebackers and sometimes some defensive ends and some of that stuff. It ain't for the weak-minded and weak-hearted. So you got to be tough, and sometimes you got to bite your mouthpiece and go stick your nose in there and get after it. Absolutely. But like I said, I've been proud of them, all of them, and trying to bring that physical mentality to the group.
You've got players always going to get butterflies before that season opener. How about you coaching running backs for the first time?
Oh, I'll be a little nervous, but at the same time, I'm going to be excited to see those guys tote the rock and do those special things, and hopefully multiple times get into that end zone. And I'll tell you this, I'll be the first person to give them a hug, whether I'm on the field or in the box. I'll have to maybe run on down and come and give them a hug, but I'll be the first one to congratulate them.
Early in camp, it was kind of mentioned that some of the state's best packages could involve 2 running backs. How much can you utilize this offense when you have both running backs?
Oh, I mean, of course, being selfish, I would love to have 2, 3, 4, as many of them out there. But I think just their athleticism and what they do can provide a different facet to our offense and to our game. And so, I tell them all the time, if they want the ball, you got to produce. And so I think the more that we get into multiple backs out there and they're able to produce, the more we're going to do it.
Almost game week, I mean, what steps are left to kind of set the depth chart as you guys prepare for Memphis?
Well, you'd like to see everybody finish this week. We got another scrimmage on Saturday that's going to be a little more, situational, a little more kind of not walkthrough-ish, but we're going to talk through some different 2-minute, 4-minute special team situations. So see how guys perform in that and kind of have another evaluation as far as more film to evaluate through a scrimmage, progression. But as far as it looks right now, I mean, I feel pretty good about where the offense is at, and especially my group's at depth chart wise. And hopefully some of those younger guys can keep coming along, keep pushing, and we'll see where it happens 4 or 5 weeks down the line.
How impressed were you with Rufus over the weekend?
Oh man, probably his best practice he's had since he's been here, which is saying something because he's put together some really good practices in fall camp so far, and really nice to see it kind of come together for him. He's done some really good things, and you can kind of see how far he's come, and the ball just finds him, which is crazy. So I'm really excited for Rufus.
Have you set a number that you want to take in the first game, given it's a non-conference game, total number of your players?
It changes from week to week, but we like to be anywhere from 4 to 5, maybe 6, depending on kind of where the roster shakes out. A lot of that has to do with Coach Mealy and the special teams on who he's taking, and obviously we're not playing with too many tight ends, so the receiver room is going to be the deepest between me and Steve. So split pretty much between outside and inside receivers, but around 5 each, something like that.
When you go back and evaluate film as their coach, I mean, obviously assignment retention is a big part of things, but what else are you looking for when you begin to kind of settle who plays and who doesn't?
Yeah, you want to see all the other things, and I talk with my guys most of a lot really about what you do without the football. The blocking, the running routes away from where you think the ball's being. We obviously want them to expect the ball every play, but when you're not getting it, how hard do you run your route? Do you care about your teammates? Stuff like that. And then the biggest principle for me is when you're not getting the ball, you're going to be in between your man or another defender and the football. So things like that show up on tape quite a lot, and the guys that respect that rule and really take it to heart, those are the guys that end up playing pretty well and end up showing up and being good players for you.
Ahead of that Arizona game this year, I know you were on that Washington State staff for a few years, I guess. What do you kind of remember of playing, in Pac-12 after dark and some of the wacky stuff that tends to happen in those games?
No,
and I guess how do you prepare for that too?
Yeah, no, I got on staff in 2016, and it feels like I was a part of some of the crazier games I've ever been a part of. The first time we went out to Arizona, I remember that was during Khalil Tate's run. That was like 3-4 games into that when he was just going crazy, and we got the bad end of the stick on that one. But yeah, some crazy games. Friday the 13th at Cal one year, which was wild. The UCLA game in 2019, and then some of the other ones too, where we came out on top. With some high scores and stuff like that. But how do you prepare for stuff like that? I don't think it's any different than how you prepare for a normal game, but that's football. Sometimes you just never know how it goes from game to game.
I mean, a lot of those games, tend to swing. It seems like a crazy play on special teams or something like that.
Yeah.
Does it make it easier to kind of sell that unit or that phase of the game to your guys?
For sure. Yeah. That's you're always preaching special teams, and you want everybody on your team to take it seriously and respect that part of the game because it shows up, right? And it like you said, just so happens that Pac-12 after dark, it ends up mattering a lot, and it does through other conferences and games and stuff like that. But yeah, when you can present specific scenarios and situations where those guys understand how important it is, not only in that part of the game, but later on in the game, that I think that helps with your team and being stronger down the line.
Is there anything you have to do special to prep your team for a 10 o'clock Central Time start out there?
No, I don't think so. And Coach Leach does actually a pretty good job, in my mind, of guys that I've been around just preaching, stay consistent. The details matter, and we're not going to change up what we do from week to week just because we're going out to Arizona. We're going to prepare just like we will for Memphis and LSU and so on down the line. But we're going to be excited. Those guys should be excited, and we're going to come out and play pretty hard. But obviously we got a big one against Memphis first, and that's what we're focused on right now.
You mentioned Memphis. What have you seen from Memphis's defense?
It's crazy. They, new defensive coordinator, obviously some new changes with transfer portal and stuff like that. They're going to have some new guys. So, not that it's necessarily a guessing game, but we're going to look at the film from, Ohio State, and obviously the game last year is probably going to have a little factor into it. So, but Memphis as a program, I've been around that program, a lot in my life. I played at Houston, played against those guys when I was a player, and just a really tough, hard-nosed program, kind of like Mississippi State, and they'll be fired up to come in here and play hard, and we're we're gonna need to be on our A game for sure.
There's reports out of Memphis' practice today that they were blaring cowbells on the speakers to get ready. I guess what kind of edge do
Yeah.
you think that gives you guys when teams have to go through that in their preparation?
You know what? It's an incredible edge, and I being around it these last 3 years, didn't really understand it until now, being a part of it every single week during the season. But our fans do an unbelievable job, especially when they got the place rocking and it's sold out and everybody's got a cowbell, and it's tough on people. It's tough on us sometimes to even hear kind of through communication, but our fans will be rocking, and we're hopefully it's even louder than it's ever been, come game one. So.